Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. And throughout the video, if you like to make a comment or comment on what you're hearing, put the comment in the comment section. Today's video has both of the audio interviews with the stepdad, Stephan, and the biological father, Tyler, one after the other. So you can listen to them and put in the comment section what you think. I think Stephan knew Jennifer obviously a lot better, even though Tyler's the father of Madeline. Stephan was married to Jennifer for a few years and maintained, a relationship where they would communicate, etc. And also, Stephan kept in contact with Madeline over the years. He cared about her. He loved her. So what we're going to do is we're going to play these. They're unedited, other than taking out phone numbers and addresses, and there won't be any of me talking over it, so you can just listen on your own, and at the end, maybe put a comment, or during the video, put a comment in the comment section. I'll probably play this as a premiere so you can communicate with other people while you're listening to it, but feel free to comment in the comment section. All right, so let's get started on that right now.
A lot of these people involved.
Yeah. All right, the date is March 5th, 2024. The time is 2:19 p.m. We are at the Kissimmee Police Department. Reference to case number 24001896. Person present are myself, Detective Morris, Detective Smallwood. And your first name?
Stephan with a V.
And last name?
Young. Y-O-U-N-G.
All right, before we get started, can you just raise your right hand for me? Do you swear and affirm that the statement you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I have a feeling you know why you're here, why you came to Florida and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There's an investigation into a young lady named Madeline, her death. Okay. Throughout the investigation, we spoke with Jennifer, Madeline's mom, and she said that you and her were married at some point. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when that was?
We were married on March 14th, 2015. I can remember that because it's Pi Day. 3.1415. We divorced, I think, in 2016, maybe 2017. It'd be in Kissimmee Records, though. It was done here in Osceola County.
Okay. Where did you meet her?
Online, OkCupid.
OkCupid is like a dating site or something like that?
Okay. Website. Yeah, it's like pink and blue and before Tinder and all these apps came out and stuff. Yeah, I met her on OkCupid. Can I take out my phone? I took some notes on dates that I could remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for you guys to be asking about how long I've known them and stuff and whatnot. I think I met her around summer of 2013. Yeah, we were married March 14th, 2015, and I think we divorced somewhere at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, somewhere in there. But again, I know it should all be in Osceola Records.
That's fine. And when you guys were married, did you live here, or did you?
We lived in the apartment where everything happened.
Okay, so in Venetian Bay.
Yeah, it was her, Maddie, my daughter, and me.
Okay. Did anybody else live there at the time?
Juan.
Her
dad.
Okay.
I think he still owns that unit, and he lived there in the bottom floor unit. Maddie had a room, my daughter had a room, and me and Jed had a room upstairs.
What was your and Jennifer's relationship like?
It was pretty good for the first couple of years we were together. She started having some mental health issues, which...
Like what?
She would just get really depressed, and she would just kind of shut down some days, and so I'd just be on full parent duty, just take care of both kids and do the pickups and everything and do the dinner, and I was in school, I was working full time, and it was exhausting, and it just got to the point where her mental health was just stacking up, and I couldn't be there as much, and I needed to take my daughter out of that environment, and we still co-parented. Like, Maddie to me is, is my other daughter. I was in her life for 11 years. Like, me and my daughter, like, that was my daughter's sister. That's the only close thing she's ever had to a sister. We still have birthday gifts. We talked to her. Like my daughter and her best friend played games with Maddie every month for years online together. And like I talked to Maddie all the time. I'd pop over and talk to her and ask how things were. And I thought she was in good hands. And I know that me and Jen didn't work out, but to me she was still a friend. And I still loved and cared about Maddie. And so I tried to be a friend to Stephan too when he came in the picture. Like if he's in Maddie's life, I want to get to know this person. So I tried to get to know him some, try to be a friend to him.
Where did you meet him?
I met him through Jen. I think she said that he had met him through a real estate company that his parents had at the time. I don't remember positions they had there.
Okay.
But she said she's involved with him, and I loved Maddie, so anybody's involved in her life I wanted to know. And so I tried to get to know him, be a friend to him. We started connecting on like tabletop games and stuff. Like I was into D&D. I think he's introduced me like Star Wars Legion and this Robomech game. So like I tried to play some of those with him and stuff. We went and shot guns before. I looked it up. I think we went to Tannerack. It's on the way between here and Tampa. It's a public shooting range down there. But he was just so commercialistic. And
What do you mean?
He just always wanted to buy the next thing. And like when I would invest in a game, like I just was playing the game for a while. Like I've been playing the same D&D game with my sister for 2 years. It's the same campaign. Like I like playing the same thing and not reinvesting in new stuff. And he was always the next thing. And we got in a little like argument one day. I went to visit them down in Northport, and I essentially called him a sellout for always buying new shit. And kind of had a little tantrum, and then we just kind of stopped talking after that.
When do you think that was?
It was before COVID, because I think that, if I remember correctly, she moved back up from Northport during COVID. So I think it had to have been right before then when they were down there.
Did they live in a house or?
They were in an apartment. We visited them once.
Okay.
But there was an apartment down there that they had in Northport.
Okay.
But yeah, me, my wife, and my daughter all visited them because we're always trying to keep the girls together because they're each other's siblings, you know? Like they didn't have any biological siblings of their own. And so whenever we could, we tried to keep them together. And I've tried to talk to my daughter to see if she can remember anything.
Just so I'm clear, that Jennifer is not the mother of your daughter.
No, she's not the biological mother of my daughter. That's a whole nother story. I'm not sure exactly where she's at. Right. She's been on the run and not paid child support for years. That's a whole other thing. But no, I have Jen, who's been like a mother to my daughter for 11 years now. And then I have my wife, who's incredible. We call ourselves a nice blended family. We've all tried to help each other out.
That's the young lady downstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all try to help each other out. We're all friends. I mean, now it's, really hard to look at wedding photos and stuff and seeing some of these people in it. And, but, sorry, I'm a little venti right now. It's been frustrating, this whole thing, and trying to wrap my head around what happened.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So...
Sorry, you can ask me what...
That's okay. That's okay. Take your time. I know this is a tough time for you guys right now. So when you would hang out with Stephen around here...
Stephan,
sorry.
No,
Stephen,
sorry.
Stephan. Then we have a Stephan that works here.
Yeah. I just need to hear the name difference for myself.
Yeah. So when you and Stephan used to hang out around here, where were you living at that time?
So we've lived in Williamsburg.
Williamsburg up John Young Parkway?
Yeah, right behind like SeaWorld area over there. I lived in Anderson, I think, when I first met him. That's up in South downtown, Anderson Street.
Okay.
That's when I first met him. He never went over there, but I would come down and visit Joe over there. And unfortunately, I let her sleep over there with Maddie and stuff in the same fucking house. But, she would go down there and visit them. And so I think it's when I first started meeting him. I lived in South Orlando. And then... When
was that? Do you remember? Roughly what year?
That was me and Jen got married in 2015. So that would have been January of 2016 that I think is when I moved into downtown Orlando. And that was there for about just over a year. Yeah. And then moved in with my wife's cousin for a few months, and then we moved to Williamsburg. And then we got a house over here in Kissimmee, Southwind. It's off 192, near Medieval Times.
Okay. Yep.
Those houses back there that are almost an acre-ish. Yeah. And that's where we lived. I think police came and talked to me the other day when they're still trying to locate her body. And I think I gave them the wrong dates. I moved in 2020 to Colorado. I moved into that house in 2020, and I moved into Colorado in 2022.
Okay.
But I was really frazzled. The thing on the news just come up with the update, and they had just shown up like the minute that started, and so I'm like trying to watch. They're trying to talk to me, and I got frazzled. So I think I did give incorrect dates on that the other day. But I moved to that house in 2020, and then to Colorado in 2022. So correction on.
That's right. So when you lived in all these places, when was Stephan with Jennifer at that point?
He was, as far as I know, they've been pretty much on for most part of the past 7 years, but a little on and off the past few.
Okay.
As far as I understood,
have you known him to have any kind of mental illnesses or anything like that? That you know?
Jen always said that he had depression and anxiety, and sometimes he'd be short to temper, but she never mentioned that he got violent, because I would ask her does he get violent when he gets angry? That's a whole other thing. Someone can get frustrated. Work through it, and versus somebody getting violent, and she never said he got violent. I always asked Maddie, the first few years they were together, I'm like, hey, how is Stephan? Is he treating you nice,
How old was she when they got together?
See here, when me and Jen split up, she was 4, so she probably would have been in early elementary school, 5 or 6, but around there. I would,
and you would have these conversations when she was in kindergarten, 1, 2, 2nd grade?
Yeah, so she would have been about 6 then when he came into her life, I think. That sounds about right. So, yeah, it would have been around, 1st grade and stuff, because I remember I was talking to her, oh, you're starting school again, and then I had to start elementary school and help get wrapped up in that. And it's oh, how's school, how's home, how's mom, she doing okay, because I know a lot of times, her and grandma would take care of her some days and whatnot, so just trying to check on Jen kind of through the daughter, just see how her perspective on life is and mom and whatnot. But
when you guys lived together, how was the dynamic? I know you said you guys shared a room and Ashlyn had a room. Is that right?
Maddie would share a room together. I think they had a bunk bed for a little while and shared a room, and then one became their playroom. But it went back and forth. They had separate rooms.
At any point did you guys share? I know when kids are young, they sleep with their parents and stuff like that. Did that ever happen with?
When I first met Jen, Maddie slept in the bed with Jen.
Okay.
I wasn't comfortable with that at her age, unless it was a nightmare or something like that. Then, yeah, of course, my daughter can come and join me in bed if she has a nightmare. But I felt like there's a point that, you need to start letting them sleep on their own and self-soothe at night. So I would always encourage the self-soothe, go to bed on your own. And then after we had divorced, or after we had split up and we were on our own, I found out she was back to her own bed, or back to sharing a bed with Maddie again. And I know that that's the way that her mom always did it. I know her mom, Maddie was always sharing a bed with her when she was little and stuff, up until I know at least beginning of elementary school. I don't know if it ever stopped or when, but it was grandma. She'd just go and cuddle with her at night. She would do it with Jen all the time. I didn't do that unless it was a nightmare or something. I remember one time Jen was just checked out at night and tired, and she was just here's the kids, and they both laid in bed with me. But
was that common for her to do?
No. I can count on one hand how many times she was I they're crying and I need some space tonight, and she'd go to the living room, watch TV, and just be by herself and just be, all right, cool, the kids are with me, and we'll be in bed and just hang out.
So it sounds like you and Jen have communicated frequently since you guys split up because of Maddie.
Pretty often, yeah. I always try and check up on Maddie all the time. Our friendship kind of fizzled out a little bit. We kind of talked a little less here and there as my relationship with my current wife grew. Right. And not because of my wife. They're actually great friends. It was actually my mother-in-law that thought it was weird and started getting mad and stuff, so we started scaling back our friendship for the optics of her family. But
gotcha.
But I would still always check up on Maddie. I talked to her all the time. I was on the phone with her. I'd pop over the FaceTime and check on her, hey, how's it going, and how's school?
How was Jen, when you would talk to Jen on FaceTime or Maddie or anything like that, what was their demeanor? Was at any point since you left till up to here recently, any kind of demeanor changes between Jennifer or Maddie?
Maddie seemed off for a few years, honestly. And I thought it was just, she's going through changes. It's the teenage years coming. It's the puberty, I remember my daughter going through the depressive stage, right at the end of, elementary school. But, that was where the start of COVID and stuff. So I wasn't sure, how much is, an equal comparison for a mood change. And to me, it seemed normal to, my daughter was going through. She went through a massive depression through, middle school, COVID, lots of things going on. So in my head, it was just okay, she's going through changes. Just keep talking to her. Keep getting the two of them to hang out as much as they can online. We'll get down their floor, see each other soon. Let's see if we can fly them up. Just trying to get more of the family aspect together. And I thought it was teenage years.
Gotcha. How long? You said that was going on for a few years, you think?
Yeah. She's kind of felt different to talk to since late elementary school. I don't know. Just she seemed different.
Did Jen seem different at all?
Jen doesn't seem different. She's just seemed she's just always trying to figure out what she needs to do with her psychologist to get by, and it feels like her trying to figure that out with a psychologist is always an experiment. And I feel like she's trying to figure out what to do to get herself here and to be functioning with her mental health issues. But with all the back and forth with doctors, at least in my opinion, it's just always a game of, okay, try this. And so sometimes she gets a little more checked out as they're trying different meds, and I don't feel
Did she ever talk to you about her doctors or any kind of different medication?
I know she's been on different medication over the years. I don't know exactly which ones. I know she's tried different things. She's complained about some that have knocked her out and make her super tired.
When did she tell you that?
That she has meds like that. Geez, I've known her for a long time. She's got through a lot of back and forth, with meds. I know I can't pinpoint a specific time period on which one.
Your relationship with her?
No, the mental health stuff started to accumulate more during my relationship with her, and that's when I was trying to get her into more therapy and stuff. The understanding where she was with her mental health took some time with psychologists and therapists to figure out, okay, these are her conditions. This is how we can start figuring out certain meds that may work in some capacity. But that was after I had been there that meds started to get figured out by doctors. It was more therapy when I was still in the house, if that makes sense.
Did she ever talk about Jen now? Did she ever talk to you about more recently that any medication has changed or anything like that would offset her? Or some people, when they change their medication,
I know
everything just changes.
The only thing I know that she said about her medication recently is there's a nighttime one that just knocks her out. So she takes that one at night.
When did she tell you that?
Must be when I've been recently talking to her about this the past few weeks. This, or it's happened all a week ago. So we saw it online on Monday. Yeah.
So she never mentioned that prior to...
Well, I haven't talked about her meds in a while.
Okay.
This is just recently, because I was all right, so what's going on? Where's your head been? How much do you remember right now, with your meds? And
what did she tell you happened? Right, from, the day that Maddie went missing, when did you first hear about it?
My wife saw it online. I'm not on social media, but she saw it immediately. And so I start calling, and anybody I know in Florida, I just say, please send it. Anybody. And then I was all right, everybody outside of Florida, if you know somebody in Florida, send it. And I was just on blow up, just anybody I can contact to share the information online she was missing.
When the first time you talked to Jen, what did she say?
I talked to Jen. It was either that I think it was the next day. I think it was Tuesday. I was finally able to get a hold of her. And I was trying to talk to her. I was trying to figure out what happened. And she had told me... Sorry, I'm trying to remember.
That's okay.
She had told me that Maddie was missing and that Stephan had taken her to the school, but he had made a bunch of stupid mistakes, and he accidentally deleted his phone, and what the other thing he said, and he forgot his phone, and Maddie forgot his phone, which didn't surprise me. My daughter forgets her phone all the time, but like him not having his phone, I felt was shocking, because I remember him I always saw him with his phone. He was always on Reddit. He was always typing away at something. But Maddie, like, that didn't surprise me. Like, a teenager forgetting their phone. And so, like, I called them idiots, you know? Like, wait, why the fuck would you do that? Like, not even look more guilty. Like, I thought he was innocent. Like, I thought it was somebody that was protecting Maddie. You know, I thought that they were both, you know, looking out for her. And now I don't know what to think anymore, you know? But...
Now, was this talking to Jen over the phone or text message? Or
I think this was a phone call I had with them. But they had called. I finally, like, gotten a hold of her because I wanted to hear her voice, to hear her. She sounded like when she said these things, you know?
Now, when you were talking to her over the phone, like you said, you're hearing her voice saying these things. What she was saying, was that kind of like her normal tone or a different tone, or like, how would you describe it?
It sounded like anxious Jen. Like, it sounded like something's wrong, and she couldn't wrap her head around it. Like sometimes she has to take her meds, but you can still, like, tell in her tone sometimes, like, how she is. And like, I could tell she was a little muted, probably from meds she had to take, but I could tell, like, her anxiety was at 100. If you know, like, even with some mutes, like, once you know a person, you can kind of tell, like, some of their tells a little bit, like, just like their pace and their talking is like, I don't know, you're still, like, amped up. And, like, I could tell she was like that. He was very quiet. Very quiet.
So you talked to him as well?
I was on speaker in the car.
Okay.
And he was there at the time, and so, like, I asked him, like, I asked him, but he, like, really didn't say anything. She kept just, like...
What did he say?
He was like, yeah, she was there, and I feel so guilty, and I can't believe that I left my phone. And I was like, well, why the fuck would you do that? Like, it's stupid. Like, have your phone, like, wherever you go. Like, it's suspicious immediately, like if you don't have your phone as an adult, like, and he was like, yeah, and then I actually reset it. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And that's really all he mentioned. And then Jen, like, reset the same thing and told me that he had dropped her off, and she thought that she had woken up at like 8:20 in the morning, and then Sailor was barking to go to the bathroom or needed to go to the bathroom, so she started to get up, but he said, no, I got it. And he's like, yeah, I was trying to let you rest. And then he went and took the dog out, and then came back and said that, oh, don't worry, I'm taking Maddie to school, and then let her keep resting because she was, like, going through training at a new job, and she was just really tired, and that she had called him up to come help with taking her to school and helping to get the dog and Maddie situated so she can balance the new job she just started. Sorry, I'm trying to remember all the pieces she told me and all that conversation, so it's coming out in random order. What else did she say?
But she told you that she was sleeping, and whatever time it was when she heard the dog barking, she was going to get up to take the dog out, but Stephan took the dog out himself? Yeah,
and Stephan took the dog out himself and told her, no, it's okay, you're tired, don't worry about it. And so she went back to sleep.
Okay. Did she ever mention the day prior, Maddie had a birthday party?
Yeah.
With Grandma?
Yeah.
Okay. Did Jen tell you why she wasn't there?
I understand it from her that she was just so tired from everything from work, and I'll admit, going to her family functions could be a little bit overload. She has a lot of family.
Gotcha, okay.
They're very loving. They're very loving people. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love her family to death. Like, her Juan helped me and my daughter Ash so much over the years, even after me and Jen split. So, like, love them to death. But sometimes they're overload, and with all her anxiety, sometimes she just can't handle them for a long period of time. So she'll go and do stuff with Maddie, for her birthday. It's happened sometimes. She's gone and done her own thing on a Saturday, and her mom wants to do a big event on a Sunday, and it's just overload for her.
Got it. Okay.
Like, she'll still do stuff with Maddie. It's just sometimes she can't handle the full people, and that would be my guess. I haven't asked her specifically, like, the whole weekend sour, like, asking her about why she didn't go, Maybe I could have asked her. I should have asked her, but...
was Stephan at the party?
I doubt it.
Okay.
Yolanda did not like Stephan.
Yolanda is Jen's mom.
Jen's mom.
Okay.
She didn't
Any
like
idea
it.
why?
I want to know why now. I heard that like once over the years that she was a big fan of him, and I was like, oh, maybe it's just she didn't like a boyfriend, just you need time to warm up to him type of deal, and that was it. And now I'm hearing more and more she did not like him, she didn't trust him, and I want to know why. I want to ask her, like, what did you see that I missed? Because I don't want to miss this in another person. Somebody else around my daughter. I want to know what traits you see that I couldn't.
So Maddie makes it back to the house. I would say condo, townhome, whatever it may be.
Yeah, the unit.
At some point that evening, Sunday evening, Stephan comes home because Jen asked him to come here to help because she's tired because of the new job.
That's the way I understand it. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of what the dynamic was? There's sleeping arrangements between Jen, Maddie, or Stephan throughout the years?
I honestly have been trying to figure that out myself. I understood that Maddie slept with Jen, and they had one room for a while, so my guess is they all slept in the same bed for a little while. I don't know when, how long, or any of that. Like, that's always bothered me. Maddie sleeping not in her own bed, starting elementary school, like, that to me is just like something a kid needs to do to self-soothe and grow to be individual and not have to rely on another person always being there. So that's always bothered me, and I've tried asking Jen about that over years and trying to encourage her, and it's just an argument. It's just a case that I was like, I'm never going to win, so why am I to keep poking at something?
Did Jen ever mention to you that she would need to get some sleep, so Maddie would either sleep in her room or sleep in somebody else's room or anything like that?
That happened during our relationship, but it wasn't another room. It was just like, oh, can we put the kids at my mom's tonight so we can have a night off?
Gotcha. Okay.
Because she would just need, like, we just has time to breathe and need space away from the kids. Like, okay, let's see, if we can do that. And we try and let them out, but it was different when I was there. Like, nobody slept in the bed with us unless it was a nightmare. Like, that was my condition. And if she wanted space, then we would coordinate stuff with her family to go watch them.
I don't know what conversations you've had with Ashlyn since this has all happened. Ashlyn confided into. I've
asked her a lot of questions, not try to be too pointed, but hopefully to get some stuff. Asked her, like, did he ever try and spend alone time with you, or try and just, like, hang out with you and Maddie alone when Jen wasn't around? Did Maddie ever talk about him, specifically? Did she ever say anything positive or negative? But was there at any point in time she wanted to specifically talk about him, like, in any way? Did you ever see a mood change? And so talking about it, and she was like, yeah, like the past couple years, she's been like, they almost like stopped playing games because Maddie was just like destroying her stuff on Minecraft, and it was frustrating my daughter, and she was like, I'm done playing with her. And then I guess like a few months ago she just started playing nice and started playing better. And so, like, I'm trying to think about this with the timeline. I'm trying to remember. I was like, is this when Jen kicked Stephan out of the house?
When was that?
I'm trying to remember when they separated. I'm trying to figure that date. Was that a few months ago? Is that when Maddie started lightening up and started feeling better and stopped being destructive to everybody around her? And did she start feeling like she could push back on this guy, after being gone for a few months, and then this happened? And remember anything?
In the last couple of months, she just noticed a little bit of a demeanor change.
Yeah. She was playing a little better online, and she was acting a little nicer.
And then Maddie communicate.
He texts every day.
Like text messages through the phone, Snapchat, IG?
No, my daughter doesn't have Instagram. She has Discord.
What's her name on Discord?
I'd have to look it up. Give me a second. If I have service in here. I'm sure you'll see it on Maddie's as well. She did try and message her after all this just to see if she was online, was able to pop up. So, well, one of the recent hays is from my daughter. I have to download it. Give me a second.
Do you know if anybody else communicated with Maddie through Discord, like Jen, Stephan, any of Jen's family or anything like that?
This other boy, Tyler.
You know, Stephan uses Discord?
I'm sure he does. I don't know what it is, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. I know he used Reddit. Wouldn't surprise me if he had multiple accounts and how often he was on it type deal.
Like, I know very limited stuff about Reddit. So I know Reddit is like forums that you can look at stuff or whatever. Any idea like what kind of forums he would be part of?
I only know now because his username's been put online and I've looked through it. I didn't know beforehand.
What's his username?
Give me 1 second, I'll pull it up for you. Yeah, there's some. He's been on recently on Ask Teens over the past month. I saw. Sorry, I've had a lot of text messages recently.
That's okay.
That's his username on Reddit. At least his public one. I'm still trying to see if I can have friends find any alternates that he has. Because most consistent Reddit users have at least 2 or 3. At least in my experience. I'm sure you guys use way more than me, so you guys may know more about that. But
so if that's his username, you can see what forums he's part of.
You can see the ones he's posted in, just like all the places he's made comments and stuff. He has like 6.5 years of history, it looks like. Past month, like it's all like gaming stuff. You can see the progression over time. Like I saw a picture of him 6 years ago at my house playing tabletop games, like a picture of the board that we were playing on, like adult board games and guns, and then Nerf guns and Tamagotchis and just more childish stuff. You can see the way he talks starts to change online. There's more emojis. His gender starts to become more generic and stuff. It's like you can see like there's a warp in the way he acts online over these. It's weird, like seeing this change, and then now it's all. And then like the past month, you can see like Ask Teens.
Ask Teens, that porn Ask Teens?
No, it's just like teens could ask questions about life, and there was even one. Where is it? Sorry, I don't know if you guys already looked through this or not. Or I'm sure you guys have another team who probably does all the IT stuff, or I don't know. Yeah, there was one that was a girl was asking about being pregnant and what to do, and he responded on it, and it freaked me the fuck out. Like this, I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do, and him responding.
Sorry, I gotta zoom in.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I'll let you read that, Mark. I want to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
When you were with Jen, I know you had said back then she wasn't on medication for her mental health, and that was kind of building up.
Yeah, not that I recall her being on meds.
Was Maddie on any medication back then?
No, not that I recall.
No.
I think the only person on meds was my daughter for ADD.
Okay. Do you know if Maddie has ever been on medication?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. Do you know if she's been diagnosed with anything?
I heard she was previously diagnosed with autism, but okay. I thought I also heard she was retested, and they said she only had autistic traits, but is not autistic.
You know when that would have been?
Within the past few years. I think Jen told me when I talked to her earlier this month in February that's when she told me, I think that's when she told me that she wasn't showing, or she only had traits, and she was no longer diagnosed. It was ADD. Oh, I think she had ADD. Okay. And she had to take meds for that. Fuck. Sorry, there's so many kids.
Overload.
I have so many nieces and nephews and cousins, and it's so many kids to keep track of. I have to call my daughter to see if she remembers, because I know they would talk about medications.
But when you guys were together, you don't specifically remember her being on medication?
Not that I recall, other than like when she was sick type meds.
Right. Okay. How was your and Maddie's relationship? Was she pretty outgoing with you? Was she more reserved?
She was so bubbly. I always describe, she was a Sour Patch Kid. She was always a little sour before she was sweet, but you have to get through that little bit of sour with her, that little bit of attitude. Like every picture of her you see, like she was a little hip hop. She was just like, it's always a little she had like this face too. She could stare across her like, what are you doing? Do you have ice cream? I know you have ice cream. Like she's had this way about her that she could like pierce into you and make you question what you're doing for a second. Like, hold on, what? Oh, okay, I'll share with you, kid. You're cute, you know. And she was a brilliant kid, and she was smart in many ways, bullheaded and all the rest.
Did she
I tried. When he first came in the picture for the first like couple years, I remember I asked her all the time, because I lived here in Florida. I was like, hey, how is he? How's Stephan? Like, is he treating you nice? Like, is he good to your mom? Like, just want to check on him. And yeah, I can go back if you look at any of those.
Nah, that's fine.
But yeah.
Do you know if she was pretty open with your daughter?
I feel like she was. I thought she was. I was hoping that the two of them had each other, so if anything ever happened, then they know they could talk to the other, and then somehow it would get to one of us parents so we could navigate it. Like, that was my goal, was them to be sisters. You know, to have the other person always confide in that's somewhere else. So, you know, like, hey, they're not in the same shit you're in. They can help you get out if something's wrong. And that's what I always wanted them to have. But
have you asked your daughter if she's had these type of conversations with Maddie back then?
I've asked my daughter if, like, semi-pointed questions without being too direct on any of this stuff. Just like, you know, like I said before, like, did Stephan ever try and, you know, hang out with you two one-on-one? Did Maddie ever talk about him specifically? But nothing. Like, if I had gotten anything, I would have called you guys. Like, I want anybody responsible for this to have the justice served. No matter who it is, I want them to be taken care of.
How would you describe Jennifer and Maddie's relationship?
They were really close. They were really loving. Jen sometimes could be distant depending on where she was at with her mental state, but she was always there for Maddie. Sometimes she would, I don't check out's the right word, but she just would be an overload, and she would just ask her mom to take care of Maddie. But she really did love Maddie and Ash, and really tried to take care of them. At least I thought. I just think she's just had so many mental issues that it caused lapses that caused this. If that makes any sense.
This is a difficult question, but it has to be asked, and it's asked of other people as well. Do you think Jen had anything to do, or do you think she had knowledge of what was happening to Maddie?
I've been trying to ask myself that ever since I found out Stephan was arrested, and I thought that he was, you know, somebody that was there to protect Maddie. And honestly, I think she could have made enough, I don't say stupid decisions, but wrong decisions with timing meds and things like that this kind of stuff could have happened. But I don't think there's any way she would have deliberately known or if she had known, wouldn't have tried to get her out, of that situation. Like, she has family she can go to. She has friends like me and other places that she knows she can go to another state to escape someone. I felt like if she really felt like she was in danger, she would have gotten out.
You would confide in?
I thought it would have been Ash. I thought it would have been Ash. I was hoping that those two would have a close-up relationship, that if something happened to one, they could tell the other. Because everybody needs someone like that.
How is your daughter taking it?
She's been broken. She's just been... It's kind of felt like the journey I've been on. It just felt like the first 5 days was just solid crying, and now it's just feeling numb. Like, there's no tears left. It's not that we're not sad. It's just feel empty.
I know when this was all first going down and Stephan got arrested, that you and Jen had conversations about securing an attorney for him and stuff like that.
I thought he was innocent. And I was hoping that, okay, we can get this guy cleared so we can find the right person, then that way it will help everything run smoother. So let's get all the ducks in a row. Let's get him. And I remember him on the phone. He was like, I'm on my phone. I was like, don't worry about the phone. Like, they have it. It's there. So we can buy you another one. It's not a big deal. What you need to do is let them go through it. Do what they need to do so we know you're clear. And that way they could find who this really was. And that's what... Because I thought that he was there to protect her, too.
But he was asking for his phone. They say why?
I think he meant something like he wanted to check his packages. Like, he was always obsessed with buying shit. Always obsessed with buying shit. I didn't quite understand that. Like, it threw me off, and I should have questioned it more in that moment when he said it, but I was just in such a frazzle, just like, no, we got to find out who did this. Like, if you're not it, let's get you a lawyer so we can make sure everything's done correctly, and then they can move on to find whoever that is. And then, once I found it was him, it was just like, I fucking defended this guy. I thought that he was there for her. Like, I would not have tried to defend this guy if I knew in any way, shape, or form that he was in any way culpable. And I feel like an idiot.
What point did that change for you?
Which?
Where you went from, hey, they might have the wrong guy, let's get him an attorney, to F this guy.
Once I found out that they found all the stuff on his phone. Okay. Once that came out, I'm like, what the... I was surprised.
How did you hear about... Was it through the media or was it through Jen?
A combination of... They both about came in at the same time. I think Jen was in questioning at that time. I wasn't able to talk to her for too much around then. No, I think she had messaged me before I saw it on the media that he was arrested, because she was in shock that she had seen it and was told about it.
Do you think it was genuine? Her being in shock?
I can never read somebody through text. Texts are emotionless. It's I can try and say I can read an emotion, but it's just text. I wasn't talking to her at the time, in person. It's why I need to see people's faces. I need to hear their voice, see their pace to get a better idea. A text is just words on a page. But she just seemed to... And she was trying to figure out what degree should this guy be punished, and I was like, do it. Whatever if he committed a crime and they're asking you to press the charges, do it. And yes, she had told me before I saw on the news, because she was asking me, yes, press the charges, do it. Don't question yourself right now. He committed a crime. You let them press the charges. You let the police do what they need to do. So yeah, I did find out before the news.
Did Jen ever tell you about looking for Maddie or anything like that?
I asked Monday and Tuesday numerous times, because I have family in the area and friends in the area that are all willing to come out and help search. And I kept asking. I was like, I can fly out. When can I come out? And she was saying nothing's organized yet. When I tried to talk to family members, they didn't have anything organized yet. And then eventually I saw that, I think it was Orange County, requested that nobody be searching that area, because my guess is they don't want people disturbing areas they want to investigate.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I need to wait. I can't go and help search. And that was... I remember I kept asking the first few days, can we come out and search? I have family members can help search. Are there any organized parties that are happening? And yeah, she just seemed in utter shock, and she couldn't wrap her head around it.
You seem like you lived in Kissimmee for a little bit, or Kissimmee, Orlando area for a little bit.
Yep.
Ever live in St. Cloud or anything like that?
No.
Does Jen or Stephan have any connections to St. Cloud that you know of?
Not that I know of.
I know you've been gone for a little bit, but...
The only thing I know that might be down, because we were trying to look up stuff in the area when they're trying to find the bodies, we found there's a Warhammer store down there. I know he was really into Warhammer. Mm-hmm. That's in a very expensive game. So I don't know if he's familiar with that store. That's the only thing that I can think of. It. I don't know personally that he went there. It was just a guess that we were trying to look to see if something was associated with them.
All right.
Did he ever disclose anything to you? Maybe not specifically about Maddie or anything, but being into certain things.
No, I was trying to think too if there's anything about sex we ever talked about or relationships or anything like that. The only thing I ever heard is from other. But that's all like secondhand. I have no validity to it. I can't validate anything. It's just secondhand something I heard. So.
And you heard this when?
Recently.
Like when this is going on, or
like
prior to?
Like when this is going on. Okay. I've heard this from people. I didn't know this beforehand. This is all, yeah.
When was the last time you talked to Jen?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah. I think I texted her earlier today just check on her.
In what context?
Just checking on her, see how they're doing. I still feel like her family is really close to me. Like her dad, Juan, and Yolanda we split up and divorced. So like I'm still trying to go over and help Juan out to get his apartment settled. I'm trying to be there for Yolanda if she needs anything. I do worry about Jen and her mental health, and you know, if she had nothing to do with this, then I'm gonna be there for her. If she has something to do with this, then take care of her. Like, do what you need to do. Like, I'm not here to defend somebody who's guilty. I anybody that hurt Maddie in any capacity, like I want you please do your job. Like, ask me anything you need to know. Like,
do you think Jen had anything to do with it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think she's just gone through a lot, and because of her mental health, it just caused lapses that ended up with this.
Do you think Stephan would take advantage of Jen because of her mental health? Like, was her mental health diminishing? Well, you said it was kind of diminishing when you guys were together. That's one of the reasons you possibly split. Do you think when Stephan got together with her that she continued to degress or progress with her mental health? Or
it seemed to keep degressing, and I'm not a psychologist. I don't know why that happens. You know, I try and look stuff up, but I'm an armchair expert. So, you know, it seems like mental health, you know, gets worse in your 30s. Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's, but I'm not a psychologist. I have no idea. I'm just a plumber who
so you
loves a lot of people.
Bucks, then.
Not yet. Trying to build a company. We're almost breaking even.
How would you describe her emotions on a normal basis?
Jen or Maddie? Jen. She kind of seems a little muted most days. A lot's happened to her. A lot of things have happened to her. That's been hard that'd be hard for anybody to live with. And sometimes she gets excited about things, you know. She definitely gets sad about things. She doesn't seem as outward with her emotions. You have to, like, look at her. But you can see, like, inside, like, sometimes she's torn and she's damaged. But the medications make it so you can't see it in her. Like, she doesn't show it as much as, like, another person would sometimes. But, like, when you know her, you can see it inside of her. You can see how destroyed she is. You can see how anxious she is. You know, she sometimes looks calm. And it's just one of those things, like, once you know somebody for so long, like, you can tell some stuff about them. But
do you think her reactions have been genuine?
I think so. I think she's just, like, really medicating herself right now to get through it. And therefore, she's really seeming really numb right now. But, yeah, keep seeing her break down and how sad she's been. And I feel it's legitimate, but I don't know if it's my own personal involvement with Maddie and my love for her that I don't think anybody else of that could have that capability of not loving Maddie. You know, maybe it's my own naivety, but my heart doesn't tell me that. But again, not a professional.
I know we touched on it a little bit, but have you known any medications that Maddie's on?
After we were talking about it, I think she was diagnosed with ADD and may have been on ADD med, but I don't know for certain.
Okay.
I can't swear under any oath that I know she was on any meds.
But you did say that medication that Jen's been taking has caused her to go into a deep sleep or something like that, or.
Yeah, I think sometimes I don't know exactly which meds will knock her out, but I know I've been on meds before that make me completely knock out and pass out for the night and use the time for bedtime just to make sure after all the parenting hours are done, gotta take it then. And I don't know which one she's been on and when, but I've been on medications like that for depression before, and sometimes they just knock you out. You can't help the medication. If that's what the doctor says is going to help you. You try and work with the doctor so you can get better. And
how long are you staying down here for?
My wife and daughter are going to be flying back on Thursday. I'm going to help clear out some of the apartment on Thursday. I'll be flying on Friday. If you guys need to talk to me, have my phone number. Let me know. If there's anything you want me to ask my daughter, I really don't want her to get brought in to get questions. I don't want her to get too scarred. But if you guys have questions you would like me to ask her, and I can try to approach her in a soft way, I'd be happy to help in any way I can. I just want to make sure I'm not scarring her anymore.
Let me ask you this: does your daughter? Does she see any kind of therapist or anything like that on a regular basis?
Just before all this, we got her an occupational therapist, and we just got her started with a main therapist, with a EAP 10-session program. And so that's why we're trying to get her back on Thursday because her first appointment's on Friday. But yeah, we're trying to
Does her therapist know what's going on?
She is aware of what's going on. Social work at school is aware of what's on. And then her occupational therapist is aware, just so they all know before she steps in, everything.
Okay. Are they on board if she discloses something to them, to that law enforcement, or
Yeah, if there's something pertaining to this case that she finds out or they find out, I want them to be able to share it.
Because I know they can't share information with us because it's a patient-client.
I could talk to the therapist beforehand and ask them, hey, if you find out anything about this front, we need to contact some people so they can get the right information over. Is
that's between you and the therapist? We can't get involved in that?
Right. But is that what you're asking?
If she happens to mention something during therapy and that is told to you, can you just please let me know?
Yes. Okay. Yes. If there's anything pertaining to this that will help out, I will definitely let you guys know. Again, if anybody is part of this, I want justice to be served.
All right. Anything else, do you? All right. We are going. It is 3:13. We are going to conclude this interview. The date is March 11, 2024. The time is 2:02 p.m. It's a reference case number 24001896. Person present are myself, Detective Morris, Detective Smallwood, and we're going to be calling Tyler Wallace, who is the biological father of Madeline Soto. Phone number we're calling him at.
Hello?
Hi, is this Tatiana and Tyler?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, appreciate you taking my call this afternoon. So, as you're well aware, I got myself and my partner here, Detective Smallwood. We are working the case in reference to Madeline.
Yes.
All right. So, I know, Tatiana, you're not biologically involved, but Tyler is.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask a majority of my questions. I need him to answer instead of you. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Tyler, can you spell your first and last name for me?
Yes, sir. My first name is Tyler, Tyler.
Okay.
My last name is Wallace, Wallace.
So once again, first of all, I want to express our condolences to you.
Thank you, sir.
I know it's a difficult time for you and everybody else that's involved. So some of these questions may be difficult for you to answer, but I want you to do your best you can, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Tyler, you are Madeline's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I am her biological father.
Okay. When were you and Jennifer together?
Are you asking our physical time or like relationship time?
Yeah, relationship time.
We dated when I was 16. I believe we were together for roughly 3 years. And then we ended up having an encounter in 2009 from which Maddie was born.
Okay.
We were not together at the time. I was with my wife. We were engaged. Well, we weren't engaged yet, but it was around that time.
Got it. Okay. Were you in Florida here, or where were you guys at?
I was at the time of our dating, so when I was 16 years of age and such, we would have been in Florida around Orlando and Kissimmee.
Okay.
I was living with my parents at the time. She was living with hers. At the time of our second encounter in 2009, I would have been stationed, I believe, in Baltimore, Maryland, doing training, and then in Kings Bay, Georgia Naval Base is where I was stationed for my duty station, and I encountered her there.
Okay. Did she live up there or just come to visit? How did that come about?
She was visiting. Our initial encounter in 2009, she was living in New York with her father at the time. I had just gone through boot camp, and we had connected, I believe, on MySpace. And then she ended up visiting me and a group of my Marines around November, and I only know it was that time because it was around the Marine Corps ball, so I have something to tie it to. I'm actually pretty wishy-washy with time, but that was around the period our encounter would have occurred.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Can you reframe or if I answered that, let me know what.
No, yeah, you're good. So you guys weren't actually dating at the time she was conceived, is that correct?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. How much involvement have you had in Maddie's life?
I have tried to maintain civil connections with the mother. I would say prior to the last 2 years, I normally got to see my daughter about once a year. It was 2 years since I got to see Maddie, and the last time I saw her was October of last year.
And where were you then? Did you come to Florida or?
She came to Texas.
Maddie was sent to visit us in Texas. She traveled unattended. I received her at the airport.
Okay. How would you describe the relationship between you and Jennifer right now?
I am not contacting Jennifer, and I desire to receive updates outside of the family. All the information I have regarding my daughter has been passed to me through her family, and I just...
Right, I get that, but what was your guys' relationship leading up to all of this?
I tried to talk with Jennifer as little as possible. There was a period when Maddie was first born that Jennifer seemed pretty intent on breaking up my marriage with my wife, and so in the nature of making everybody happy, I just talked to Jennifer as little as possible, which is why I had so little contact with Maddie growing up. I only just recently started reaching out to Maddie through like Skype and stuff, where she was able to or not Skype, excuse me, what did we use? I think we used like Instagram or FaceTime, but we would use like video chats and voice chat to start talking. And so I was starting to get a deeper relationship with Maddie, and then this occurred.
Okay. So you say you contacted her through social media. What
Yes,
do you list yourself on different social media accounts? What is your screen names?
My screen names?
Yeah.
Usually my screen names will all be a variation of my email. I can give you my email, but it's going to be CR. So most of my screen names are like a variation of that with like a 13 behind it. But I have like on Facebook, it just says my normal name. I believe Instagram, I come up as like CPTHRDCR13. I'm not 100% sure that I'm bad at managing all of my social media accounts. I'm locked out of like half of them right now.
Okay. All right. All right. So you said you and Jennifer, you haven't had that cordial relationship. So, but you started
I would say our relationship has been cordial, but it is a surface level cordialness maintained on our side to guarantee access with Maddie, because I was never able to afford to go to court to get my custodial rights established with her.
Okay. And you said you started reaching back out to Maddie last year on a more consistent basis?
Sir. Yes, sir. She was coming up on the age of 13, and so the last time I had stayed when she had visited us in October, I was basically talking to her about how she would feel about coming to live with us in Texas, if that was something she would be interested in. And she expressed that she would be interested, but she didn't say why or what. We just kind of left it at that, and it was something I was going to talk to Jennifer about, but just hadn't yet.
Okay. How was Madeline when she come to see you in October?
She seemed to be in very good spirits, but a thing I kept saying was that I don't know if this will make sense to you, but I can give you the context if you need it. She reminded me of a character from a show called Euphoria, in the sense that there was just an emotional weight about her that I did not understand what was the cause. It just seemed like she was dealing with stuff that a 12-year-old girl shouldn't deal with, but I didn't get to see her enough to really pry, and so I was just trying to ask her like surface level comfort questions to build a relationship with her, but I had no clue anything was going on at that time.
Got it. How long was she out there visiting you?
She was with us for 4 days in October.
Okay. Have you talked to her since October?
I had a couple of Instagram communications with her since then. I talked to her, I believe, once or twice on video chat. And I can't remember the exact dates, but I have, just so you know, I have left all of my social media untouched since the search turned into a verification that she was in fact dead, just in case any of my social medias can be useful to you guys.
Okay. At the end, I'm going to give you my email address. If you can just send me screenshots of your conversations with Maddie or any that you may have had with Jennifer.
Yes, let me write that down real quick. Screenshots of conversations with Maddie or Jennifer.
Yeah.
Is there anything in specific you're looking for?
Nope, just all your conversations. That'd be great.
Say that one more time. Sorry,
Just all of the conversations you've had with Maddie.
Yeah, got it.
And then if you've had some with Jennifer, those as well.
Roger.
So how did you come about to hear what happened with Maddie?
It was, hold on, let me pull up my phone so I can find the exact day. Give me 1 second. Monday, February 26th, or possibly, it was either the 25th or the 26th. I had just worked a shift in Texas, in Cypress, Texas, at my place of employment, which is Imperial Vapor Company. And the time on deck was around 4 or 5. The time on deck when I received the call was around 4 or 5 p.m. Interrupted. Jennifer called me and said that she had been informed by the school that Maddie never arrived at the school that day. And I asked Jennifer what she knew at that moment. She seemed distressed, but I told her, because she was trying to give me a bunch of stories about who had taken who where, and I said, I don't care about details right now. I need to know what you know. Where is Maddie? She did not know. And I said, how long has she been missing? And she said, since this morning. And then I said, okay, I need you to get in contact with the police department if you haven't already, and I would like you to continue to update me. And then she said, okay. And then she had mentioned that it was her birthday, and then when Jennifer and I were talking, I had started to mention the statistics of things like sex trafficking in Florida. I know that Houston and Florida are high on sex trafficking, so I was throwing out scenarios of what we should be looking for. Did somebody grab Maddie? Was there videos out there? Could we see footage? And Jennifer was, I believe, writing some of this down. I don't know, but she was trying to, it appeared she was giving me whatever details she could. But then after that, I went home and waited with my wife. I let my wife know Maddie was missing. We started making some social media posts to spread the word. And then on about day 2 or day 3, I just couldn't wait anymore in Texas. I felt really hopeless. And so I let Tati know that I was going to drive down to Orlando, Florida, which I did. I drove to Orlando, Florida, and I'm not sure which day I drove down. It was the 3rd day after I found out, though. And I stayed with my friend, Lynn Bradshaw, who is like a lifelong friend of mine. He lives about 20 minutes away from the area where Maddie was taken. I can pause now if you have any questions, or I can keep going.
No, you keep going.
Fresh in my mind, though.
Yeah, keep going.
So at the time when I arrived at Lynn's, my initial first thought was, I'm going to fucking go out to the last known GPS location. Jennifer had sent me like a pin or a GPS location of where Maddie's disappearance would happen. And at that point, Lynn and I had basically discussed the pros and cons of going to look for myself. The pros being that it would make it feel like I was doing something. The cons being that I really had no idea what I was looking for. And then that's when we started seeing like Twitter posts from the Kissimmee and various police departments saying, please do not engage in any public searching. We are currently working on this. And so I feel like I just knew in my heart that shit was going bad. I was staying with Lynn to help me kind of keep my emotions in check, and just watching social media, refreshing every so often to see if any news articles had come out. A bunch of my friends flew in from out of town, so I was visited by Josh Losey, who flew in from Indiana. He's been friends with me as long as Lynn. I was visited by my friend Stephanie Elaine Ashley, who flew in from Seattle. They both stayed with me for a couple of days at Lynn's place, and then they flew out. And then my wife, Tatiana, flew in. At this point, I lose track of which days or when, because it just all kind of blends together. But I took notes, so if you need specific dates of when I was interacting with people, I should be able to dig that up. It's not off the top of my head.
Okay.
So...
Did you have any, I
believe it was the night I arrived at Florida that Lynn and I got confirmation that Stephan, and that he had been arrested, and that there was sexual abuse tied into this whole thing.
And how did you hear that?
I honestly can't remember when I finally could. I had been trying to not listen to the news, so I'm not sure when I actually finally concluded that Maddie was dead. I can't remember if it was reading an article or if I had gotten a call. Maybe you called me. I don't really remember who told me. I just remember kind of the day that it happened.
Okay, how did you hear the news about him being arrested? Did Jennifer tell you, or did you see it on the news?
I was informed of Stephan being arrested by Tati. Who told you?
And then the news told me.
Okay.
A press conference.
All right. When you were here, did you and Jennifer see each other?
The only time I saw Jennifer was when I made an appearance for, I'm not sure if it was an official funeral, but I have pictures from the location and the name of the funeral house. It was a funeral house. They say that Maddie is going to be cremated in the next couple of weeks, but there was a closed casket that Jennifer's family was there, and I arrived with my separate party. I believe all interactions between me and Jennifer happened on a camera in the main thing of the funeral home. I did not speak with her anywhere else but in the funeral home. I hugged a few of her family members, and I hugged her at one point, but we shared very few words, and I was not a big fan of the hug. It was more for social purposes, but
Yeah, I mean,
that's
in all honesty, our main focus right now is Maddie. Okay.
yes, sir.
Not the relationship you and Jennifer have or have not had or whatever. That's
Acknowledged.
so. I don't know if some of these questions are difficult because of Tatiana is listening or whatever, but I don't want to, like I said, our main focus right now is Maddie. So
Yes, sir. The hardest thing has already happened, which is she's dead. And I am not okay with that, but for the purpose of cooperation and for the purpose of your investigation, I'm willing to go through emotional pain to get there. So just please continue asking what you need, and I will keep you apprised of my emotional condition.
no, I appreciate it. Okay, did you and Jennifer talk about what may or may not have happened to Maddie?
Only on the initial phone call when I threw out a couple of scenarios trying to figure out where to even start looking for myself. After that phone call was pretty much minimized between me and Jennifer. I know at some point she had her phone taken and contacted me through an alternate phone number to provide me information of where like the funeral home was. So I was in text communication with her infrequently throughout my stay in Orlando for like stuff like that. I have attempted to comfort her before I realized that Maddie was dead, but that I don't think I was in Florida. That was over the phone when I was like, hey, this isn't your fault, that kind of stuff. But it's one of those things where as more and more information comes out between you and me, I'm becoming aware. I don't know what Jennifer did or didn't know. I don't know if she was aware of this happening or not. And the context of if she knew and was enabling, or if she is as much of a victim as Maddie, will dictate how comfortable I am having any for. Frankly, I'm not interested in contacting her family ever again anyways. But, like, it's one of those, if Jennifer is much as a victim of this as I am, I'm content to just let them live their life in privacy. But I swear to fucking God, if I find out Jennifer was involved and enabled this, I will take whatever legal action I can.
Okay.
I just need a second. I'm sorry. I'm ramping up. I just need a second. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Do you think it was normal for Jennifer to call you when she went missing? Or did that seem kind of out of the blue because you guys haven't had much communication?
Jennifer almost never tells me anything. I think the only reason she told me is because she realized that I was going to find out eventually.
Okay.
But I can't confirm or deny that. That's just me speculating.
Okay. Has she told you in the past what any issues that Maddie may have had or has not had, like parenting stuff? Or
about 2 years ago when I was in prison is when I heard that Maddie had received a diagnosis for autism, which is something that I always thought that maybe I dealt with, autistic traits that I have. And the short version of the story here is I believe my daughter did not have autism, and I believe I don't have autism. I believe we have autistic traits that are symptoms of PTSD. And realizing that it wasn't a genetic autistic trait that I passed on to Maddie, it was probably her having similar developmental conditions that I had as a child that I was recognizing in her. And that's real fucking hard to deal with, man.
okay.
I wish I had seen the signs, but I just didn't. I was just trying to get a relationship with Maddie on the back end. I've been so patient waiting to have my turn with my little girl. And then this shit happens and I just don't know what to think. I'm just processing. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
All right. Have you ever met Jennifer's boyfriend, Stephan?
I don't think so. I think I've only ever seen pictures of him on Instagram. I'm trying to remember that. I didn't remember when Stephan came into Jennifer's life, but I've done some research on Reddit, and according to a local post that I found, it looks like he may have entered her life around 2018, which I would have still been in Kansas at that time. I do remember talking to Jennifer about Stephan and being like, hey, I'm low-key uncomfortable with you just bringing a guy around my kid, but that was one of those things where it's like I didn't really feel like I had a choice. I didn't really feel like I had to say. Jennifer always seemed pretty comfortable with Stephan. I knew he was a biomechanical engineer from what Jennifer told me, which always weirded me out on what the fuck would a biomechanical engineer want with Jennifer. Like, I'm not saying she's a terrible person, but I just didn't see what traits of her would attract somebody like that. And so I do have a working theory with what I think happened. I am aware that this is all speculation, but if you'd like to hear that, I will share with you what I suspect may have happened.
Okay. What do you think happened?
So the only thing that makes sense to me at this point is I've heard stories that possibly Stephan had stabbed somebody when he was 14 and that his dad had moved him across country. I've heard an article that maybe a former roommate had seen on Stephan's computer and that Stephan's mother had paid off the roommate. I don't know the veracity of those things, but those are what got me thinking on the mindset of, okay, so if his family moved him to avoid legal consequences for deviant behavior in the past, and he claims he worked at Disney, which I know Jennifer has always been around Disney, and so I'm thinking to myself, what would a predator do to find access to a child? Maybe they would go get a job at some place like Disney where there's high access passively to children and just observe, and then when he located a child that was of his taste, maybe he saw that Maddie was approaching Jennifer regularly, introduced himself. It has always been my opinion that Jennifer has not been as attentive of a mother as I would like. I feel like my daughter got passed around Jennifer's family for things like daycare quite often, and that whenever I wanted to get into contact with Maddie, it was difficult because I never knew when she was going to be home or available. And I think that maybe Stephan saw that as a predator and saw that that was a pretty easy environment to insert himself into their life. I then suspect he set up a... And at what point I become curious watching shows like Dexter or things like that is, okay, what fucked up their schedule then? How did he go from this patient calculating monster who did all of these things to being emotionally incompetent and disposing of a body off the side of a fucking road? I just don't understand what changed their behavior. And I say there because I started watching... It took me a couple of days to have the emotional space, but I started watching interviews of them when they were reaching out to the news outlets. Jennifer told me they were going to reach out to the news outlets when Maddie was missing, so I knew she had done that, but I just hadn't watched the interviews. And when I watched the interviews, Stephan is in a couple of them, and I was watching his body language, but then because I was doing that and some YouTube videos about body language came out, I was looking at Jennifer's body language, and it's like, I saw very strong emotions in her, but they seemed like anxiety, like not grief, not she was waiting at home while our daughter was still missing. Like that, I literally can't wrap my brain around that. It doesn't make sense to me. And so what I suspect happened is something that they couldn't avoid, something like maybe or something, and they realized like, oh fuck, we can't get an abortion, you can't hide this. Maybe they did something. I don't know if Jennifer was involved or wasn't. Maybe Stephan did all this on his own and she just found out. That's where my head is at, and that's why I was like, you know what, I think I want to set up separate updates with the police department, because I just don't know. I just don't like the fact that everything I know about my daughter has been filtered through that family to me. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. That's my piece.
That's okay. Have you, when you and Jennifer were together, was she on any kind of medication or anything like that, or do you know if she's been on any medication since?
She was never open with me when we were together. I do know that since we dated, she's been diagnosed with bipolar. I don't know what medication she's currently on, but I know that she's been on medications as hardcore as lithium in the past.
Okay. What about Maddie?
I don't remember the names of the medications, but I was informed when Maddie came to visit me that she was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication. Do you know the names of them?
Yes, hydroxyzine was one of them. She would take at night. I didn't feel comfortable giving because I take hydroxyzine to go to sleep, and I only so I was only one while she was here with us visiting. The other one was Miralax, so she could go to the restroom regularly.
Okay. Now, when you were giving her this the medication to help her sleep, did she have a prescription bottle with her?
Yes, there's a prescription bottle.
And on the prescription, did it say? So that's what the doctor prescribed her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tyler, did you have any discussions with Jennifer about medicine that Abby was taking, or Maddie was taking?
Never.
Okay.
Did I remember? I don't think Jennifer ever really told me about their visits. It was just that when I was responsible for Maddie, she would rattle off a list of what I was responsible to make sure she got.
Okay. And when Maddie come to visit you, what were the sleeping arrangements like?
Maddie slept in the bed with Topsy. I wanted to sleep with them and kind of make a little Maddie sandwich, and she was not very keen on that idea, so she made sure that I slept on the couch. Sometimes we'd cuddle, but that was the sleeping arrangements. Is usually she'd sleep in the bedroom with Topsy, and I'd sleep on the couch.
Okay, whose idea was it to have what you referred to as like the Maddie sandwich? Who wasn't uncomfortable with it, Tatiana or Maddie?
I believe it was Maddie who was uncomfortable with it. She didn't straight up say, I don't want to cuddle, but she would cuddle with me when it was just me and her, and I believe she'd cuddle with you when it was just you and her, but when we were together, she would become a little bit more shy, is the word I would use. Gotcha.
Okay. Now, when she would sleep at night, me having children myself, sometimes children, they kind of flop all over the place when they're sleeping. Did you notice anything like that with Maddie?
Yes, I will say I also sleep like that, and Tati had commented on how Maddie sleeps just like me. I very much thrash a lot, and Maddie was a kicker and a mover and a thrasher.
Okay, did it seem like she got good night's sleep, or she was up and down?
Once I gave her the medicine, she was fine. Like, she would go to sleep.
Without the medication, she was more like me, though, where insomnia would set in, and in the evening, our emotions would... She literally told me one night, I'm so sorry, my medication is wearing off. I'm having big mood swings. They're crazy.
And so, yes, I'd wake up with, like, an elbow in my face. But to get her up in the morning was the issue, because she never wanted to get up on, like, the first shake, or not even the second. So I just chalked it up to her being more like Tyler, because it takes him a while to get up in the morning. Mm-hmm. But
no, you think it was the medication?
Yeah.
All right. Do you know? You may not know this. Do you know if Jennifer was taking that same type of medicine?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Did she talk about her relationship with Jen and her relationship with Stephan?
I asked her if her mother and Stephen were still together, and she says no, they're not together. She, loved her mom, mm-hmm. because every time I would make a little bit of a snarky comment, she would correct me and say everybody's beautiful in their own way. And we never really talked about Stephen when she was around, just to say that they weren't together.
How was her demeanor when she answered that?
It was well, they're not together, whatever. Just...
Would you call that dismissive?
Dismissive, yeah.
Okay, so upset or angry, or just kind of how would
kind
you...
of emotional reaction? Did she seem like she was uncomfortable? Did she how did she seem to you?
She just seemed like she was just casually talking to me. It wasn't a angry emotion or anything like that.
That's kind of the problem, is I would ask surface level questions on if she was happy, but she always answered pretty vaguely, and so I just truly never knew anything was wrong. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Keep talking. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So she was just kind of just dismissive, we were just talking oh yeah, they're not together anymore, and I'm okay.
Okay. I know hindsight is 20/20, and you guys kind of only had a couple interactions with her yearly. But did you see any change in her personality over the last couple years? Do you anything that stands out?
I felt like the last time we met in October was the only time we ever really saw each other, is how I would describe it. I'm being metaphorical when I say I saw her for the first time and she saw me for the first time, and we really felt like we connected. Other than that, it's always been like she hasn't felt like I'm sorry, this is just father talk, but it's like I've been watching her grow, but she hasn't felt like a whole person with her own questions and curiosity and motivations until the last time I saw her. She seemed like more an adult than a child, and it's not that it bothered me, it's just that it made me curious on what caused the sudden change in growth. Like, she went from being a silly little girl to being what I would describe as a Euphoria character, which Euphoria is a show all about kids who are dealing with crazy levels of trauma.
You're referring to the show with...
I think her name is Zendaya.
Zendaya, yes. Okay.
And yeah, I watched that show recently with my wife, and then when my daughter came to this, I couldn't stop thinking about that show. Just because I don't know how to explain it. These young girls have this 1,000-mile look on their face that I would expect out of, like, Vietnam veterans, not fucking little girls. Like, I'm not saying that there wasn't trauma there. I'm saying as a man who has experienced trauma, that's what confuses me, is how so many young girls have that look in their eyes of, like...
How often did you have contact with Maddie prior to October?
How often? It was infrequent, unfortunately. I struggle with ADHD, and so did Maddie. And what that looks like for us is really bad time blindness and realizing you haven't talked to people for months and then reaching out awkwardly and trying to.
I mean, I would text her. But
How often
I've
would you text
with
her?
regular communication. And earlier in Maddie's life, Jennifer used to give me really big issues about that. And then I thought Jennifer was growing as a person because I couldn't tell you when, but sometime halfway through Maddie's life, Jennifer just became a lot less judgmental and mean about it. She was just like, hey, I get it. You have stuff going on. We have stuff going on. And so I felt like that was us getting close. Like, I felt like that was Jennifer understanding us more at the time, but now I'm curious.
All right, but going back to, you say it's infrequent on how many times you spoke with Maddie. So are we talking once a month?
Some weeks we would talk every day just because our schedules allowed us, and then sometimes we would go, I think, a couple of months without really interacting in any way.
Okay. All right.
And that was pretty typical of our relationship. Just very high intensity communication for a time, and then kind of dormancy.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, so I will do my best to keep you abreast of this investigation. Whatever information I share with Jennifer, I will share with you. This is a pretty high-profile case, as you can tell by it's made national news and stuff like that. So
Yes, sir.
the stuff that we release is going to be very minimal. And it's not to say anything against you and or Jennifer. It's just when we do these types of investigations, we keep a lot of stuff close-knit just because you have, if you want to quote-unquote, armchair quarterbacks that look into these things, and
100%.
we don't need that happening. So
Acknowledged.
That's
That's exactly why I stopped coming up with my own scenarios and wanted to reach out to you, as I realized I was myself joining in on the armchair quarterbacking, and that is very much not what we want to do in this situation.
Yeah. So you may hear from me on a daily basis, or you may hear from maybe a few days or a week or so before I contact you again. Okay?
Completely understood, sir. Thank you.
All right. Do you have any questions for us that we might be able to answer for you?
Give me a minute to think. I'm sorry. You may ask whatever you have.
would it be possible if we could reach out to a victim service advocate?
Yes, I will take your number down, and I will have our victim advocate reach out to you.
Okay, because the press is kind of getting to the point where they're contacting us every day.
So my question to you is, I was until recently physically in Orlando. I was originally going to try to make myself physically available to you guys, but frankly, the emotional weight was tearing up my friends' lives too. This is really heavy shit, and I'm just trying to take care of my family and myself. So my question to you is, do we need to be ready to come down there at some time, or are we trying to kind of make our way back to Texas at this point? I don't know what I should be doing in this case.
Yeah, you can go back to Texas. Okay. If we need you, or if we need to become face-to-face with you to gather more information, something like that, we will make a trip out to see you.
Okay, outstanding. In the meantime, would it be acceptable behavior if I were to, say, travel to visit my parents in Kansas, or is that something you would advise against at this time?
No, absolutely.
My parents just haven't been able to come down to Florida to grieve with us, so that was kind of my, not this week, but in a month I intend to visit my parents in Kansas. Should that be acceptable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
As for the press, I know you said the press has been contacting you. Once again, you're adults. I can't tell you what or what not to do. Only thing I can do.
With anybody at this point in time. We'll talk with victims advocates and legal representation to figure out if that's in the case's best interest at any point. But I have no horse in this race. I'm content to just stay off of the pages and grieve in private.
Okay, so what I would do though is any press that reaches out to you or something like that, if you do not want to talk to them, you can always defer them to our police department. And our public information officer will handle all those requests.
I appreciate that. I will direct any further people that reach out through you guys.
Okay.
Is there a number, or in fact, if I was going to, what should I say when I'm directing them? Is there a number or an email I should give them?
Just tell them no comment. You can contact the Kissimmee Police Department. That's all you got to say.
No comment. Let's contact Kissimmee Police Department. Thank you so much.
You got it. And I will be in touch with you, like I said, in the next few days. I'll probably reach back out to you.
Outstanding. I appreciate that.
All right. Yes, sir. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. All right. We're going to conclude this interview at 2:42 p.m.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for watching. If you could please hit that like button for me, I would really appreciate it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and if you like my content, and leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you thought of various elements of these interviews. Again, thank you all very much for watching, and as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.